Stanton just, I don't know. I felt like Bybee just tempted fate. Like like, why are you even pitching to him? What are you doing?
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I am one of your hosts, Stacey Gotsulias. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code Locked On MLB to win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. With me as usual, my co-host Brian McKeon. Brian, are we feeling a little more relaxed today?
Heart rate's down for sure. I mean, NFL Sunday definitely gets it back up a little bit, but overall, a little more confident, relaxed, going into the World Series a little less than a week away.
Unbelievable. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We are inching closer to 7,500. We passed 7,400 while the Yankees were winning the ALCS. So
saw that.
Tell your friends to subscribe. So subscribe to the channel, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live.
And over 200 of you last night too on the live stream.
Yeah. So thank you for that too. That was really awesome. Today's show is going to be, we're going to talk about the ALCS in a more calm manner because last night we were both it felt like we were both in shock, not shocked that they won, but just, it was just so like we were emotionally spent after that series. Relieved and, so I think we need to go through some things. I figured we're recording this before the Mets and the Dodgers play.
Yes.
So we're going to go through the pros of playing each of those teams, and then we're going to reveal which one we would prefer to play if there's a preferred team out of those two.
But there absolutely is.
Let's talk about the Yankees going to the ALCS. I do have one question for you. Mm-hmm. How many times have you watched Soto's home run? Because I'm up near probably about 750 since last night.
Not even the home run, which is getting me. The baseball porn that's interested me is watching the whole at bat. Juan Soto has been the whole playoff series has been incredible. His whole playoff run's been incredible. Timely home runs, first inning hits. It's been really everything as advertised with him. But what's really been what really was the whole package of what Juan Soto is the at bat as a whole. Right? Spitting on pitches outside of the zone, seeing pitches last minute, fouling them off. And you see the shaking the head, staring the other pitcher down, like knowing exactly what is going to happen. He's the full package as a player. And we said it last night. I'm really not one for this when it comes to many players in sports. And there's not many you can really, really say it about. Juan Soto is the absolute blank check player. He's borderline the perfect baseball player. I don't think there really is a price tag that you can keep off of a player like that. Let's go over the exact notion of what was going on last night, right? You're talking about Game 5 of the American League Championship Series. For as much as people want to talk about the Yankees, a team that hasn't been to the World Series in 15 years, that has a chance to win their first American League Championship in Aaron Judge's tenure, in Garrett Cole's tenure. All of this going on, all the pressure under it. Hal Steinbrenner's in the building. Brian Cashman's in the building. And to have an at-bat that's that composed, to have an at-bat with that much calmness to him, without a raised heartbeat, anything at all, there's really no words to describe that.
He basically went up there and was like, I'm going to do this. Like that was like basically
with the confidence of a spring training at-bat.
Unbelievable. Just as you said, the nodding and the swinging of his arm and, basically showing Gaddis that I know what you're going to do. So bring it, like, give it to me. And he fouled off all those breaking pitches. And then Naylor asks for the high fastball and Soto's right on it. And Soto's the type of hitter where so many of his balls look like they're going to be pop-ups and then they just keep carrying. And that was another one like last night with the way Thomas was playing it. Soto knew it because you could see off the bat that he knew it was going to go out.
Yeah.
Where the cameraman, it kind of seemed like they didn't realize it was going to go out. But my goodness, he is everything we had hoped for and more. Like
he's a different kind of hitter too. He's a different kind of hitter, a home run hitter than Aaron Judge or Giancarlo. And Juan Soto is a legitimate power hitter. He had 41 home runs this year, over 100 RBIs. He's a legitimate power hitter. But when Judge and Soto hit a ball, it's gone. I mean, they hit the bleep out of the ball. Whereas Juan Soto doesn't. He barrels it up and the ball just flies. It's a seamless, smooth swing. And again, it's just the amount of confidence that he approaches the batter's box. It's all their jobs, but it's like it's his job, where he just goes up there and knows exactly what he's going to do. And when does he have a bad game? Can you mark a period of this season where he actually had a slump?
Only when he got hurt.
Yeah,
he missed the Dodgers series, and then he was
4 days.
Yeah,
I mean, guy doesn't slump. I don't know why, and that's a whole off-season conversation. I don't know why every team in Major League Baseball would not be in on him with a contract.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. And they're plenty of them, more than 90% of the league won't be in on him. I think realistically, there's going to be like 5 teams that are competing for him. Yeah. But in reality, I don't know why every team wouldn't mortgage the entire future for a chance to have this guy play on your team.
Yeah. Yeah, I've watched that at bat, and not just the home run, the at bat, because MLB put the entire at bat up, and it's just so much fun watching him work. Really,
it's baseball 101. The at bat it's the exact at bat that you would show kids you're coaching. It's the exact at bat that you would show anybody. The at bat it's a perfect baseball at bat. It's fouling pitches off. It's knowing and the scientific psychological approach that you have to it at bat, right? Knowing, he's going to try and hit you with outside changeup here. He's going to go at the upper fastball because he hasn't reached the upper part of the zone in a while here. It's knowing all of that's coming, and then to be able to it was like a 9-pitch at bat, and then in the last 7 pitch at bat, the last pitch to be able to barrel one up, and not even barrel one up and sneak it over the right field wall in Yankee Stadium where it goes 318 and barely gets over the wall. He hit it to the deepest part of the park. It would have been out in every major league stadium. Yep. The level of impressed that you have to be in the kind of player he is, there's no words for it.
And even after the game, he basically said, "Yeah, I knew I was going to hit him."
Yeah, he knew it. He went out there with full confidence. It's incredible.
Yeah. Speaking of other people with more confidence, so it seems, Giancarlo Stanton. It's funny. He had 4 home runs in the series. Those were his hits, but he didn't need more than that because they all came at huge moments.
Mm-hmm.
They're the type of home runs that Yankee fans want to see. You want to see Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run when your team's down 2 to tie it. You want to see him hit a home run to put them ahead against the best closer in baseball. You want to see him hit one to put them ahead 4 runs. I know Cleveland came back in that game, but at the time, that home run was really big in the 6th inning of the 4th game. So Stanton just, I don't know. I felt like Bybee just tempted fate. Like like, why are you even pitching to him? What are you doing?
It made no sense, especially with Jazz coming up after Stanton, who hasn't been able to hit anything at all in the series or really in the postseason. And with an open base, made no sense to even pitch to Stanton there. It's a level of confidence too. I went to the quote. I said it last night on the show, but we'll say it now in a little bit more calmer moments. The quote that Pedro Martinez gave after the game in the post game, where he basically said if he was pitching to Stanton right now, it would be up and inside or sliders completely out of the zone, because anything remotely close to the strike zone, he's getting his hands on and it's leaving the ballpark. Mm-hmm. That's how good he's been. And I've been a voice for against all of Yankee fans who despise Giancarlo Stanton, and some way, somehow, every time they call into local sports radio, they raise the price that he gets paid yearly, which isn't true. It always goes to 35, 40, $45 million a year. Giancarlo Stanton makes $22 million a year against the Yankee luxury tax. If you look it up online, it's like $31 million. The Marlins are paying a large portion of that. He makes about $22 million a year against the Yankees luxury tax. Next to the chicken bucket, that is the most affordable contract in all of New York sports. It's a great value because for a guy that's this clutch in the postseason, has never had an issue off the field, has never caused a problem, never said one bad word, never gotten in trouble, never posted anything on social media where you were like, I don't know about that. And every year that he's healthy gives you 30 and 85. Maybe his average isn't as high as you want, but that's the player you knew you were trading for. It's not like he was a 330 hitter before you signed him. He is a stand-up player. And even now, when, Jazz Chisholm's made some comments post-game when they're celebrating, and you get away with these comments now because you just advanced in a series. But he's made some comments. You're like, I don't know if I'd give the next team a little bit of bulletin board material. Giancarlo Stanton makes none of those comments. Every comment's about team first, Yankees first. I want the next ring. Where's the next title? It's a stand-up model championship kind of player, championship kind of quotes. And he's a guy that really deserves more credit for the kind of player he is.
I wonder how awkward it was on that stage with Cashman there after what Cashman said in the offseason about Stanton.
Pretty awkward. Proved him wrong. Proved him pretty wrong. Listen to this. Stanton, since becoming a New York Yankee, now it's his 7th year with the Yankees, has 175 home runs and 430 RBIs. He's going to finish his career with 600 RBIs as a Yankee. He's going to finish his career with over 250, maybe 300 home runs as a Yankee. Stanton, Stacey, he's going to go. He could be a Monument Park. If they win a World Series this year and he wins ALCS MVP, if he keeps playing like this, he's definitely on the road to a World Series MVP if they win the World Series. Giancarlo Stanton could easily wind up in Monument Park. Easily. I mean, those are better numbers than Roger Maris. Those are better numbers than Reggie Jackson. Some all-time great Yankees that you think of. Hideki Matsui, who won a World Series MVP. These are all better career numbers for the Yankees than all those guys put up. And again, barring 2 years where Giancarlo Stanton was mostly hurt, look at his numbers with the Yankees. It's 80-plus RBIs. It's 30-plus home runs. It's everything you want and the kind of player that he is. And again, for the amount of money that he is being paid, it's a complete bargain.
Yeah. We're going to move some of this talk into segment 2. We're going to talk about the bullpen because we have to talk about the job that the bullpen did, especially in the last couple of games of the series. First, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to the game. Got plenty of those on Saturday night. We send out the lineups, any roster moves, and breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. It's a lot of fun. So again, coming up next, we're going to talk about the bullpen, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons of facing either the Dodgers or the Mets.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Want to play PrizePicks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. PrizePicks puts their members first. So with all withdrawals, they're fast, safe, and secure. And when my picks hit, I get my money in as quickly as 15 minutes. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. And don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast on Sirius XM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. So, Stacey, some things to discuss before we get into the World Series potential matchups as Dodgers-Mets. We record this at about 7:15 the night prior. So Dodgers-Mets will be kicking off in about, 45 minutes or so. The Yankee bullpen, we need to discuss this before we move into the World Series matchup because I think Jake Cousins, cousin of Kirk Cousins, by the way, I think he's moved his way into Boone's circle of trust, and we've added a 5th member because he's been incredible. Trusted him for 4 outs the night prior, got 4 crucial strikeouts in his 4 outs, only 1 walk in the appearance. He was unbelievable, and it also kind of weirdly seems like Mark Leiter Jr. is making himself into that circle of trust. Now, I don't know if it's fully in there, right? But it is weird how me and you talked about how much we trusted Mark Leiter Jr. and then he kind of fell off in the season, wasn't pitching well, really was giving up runs in almost every appearance. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere now, he's pitching crucial at-bats in playoff games. What's your feeling on this? I mean, I think Cousins is definitely a shoo-in for trust. Does Mark Leiter Jr. make the World Series roster?
I think so. I think he does. I think not pitching for a while actually helped him a little bit. He got to work on things that he needed to work on and figure out what was working, what wasn't working. Was he perfect? No, but he was able to get out of some situations. And then, he was looking better in the second outing. So I feel like, Ian Hamilton can't be on the World Series roster. So
no,
with his injury, I think what might happen, you might see Stroman come off the roster. If Nestor is feeling better, Nestor takes that spot as long man. I'm just trying to think of.
I'd agree with that only because I think Nestor is more equipped career-wise to come in off the end of the bullpen. I think the Stroman thing can not confuse me, but concerned me a little bit. And it felt like because they had no other option, they had to leave Stroman in the bullpen for a long relief guy. Really, he's only in there in case someone has a blow-up or a meltdown in the second inning and can't get through it.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, and because I don't think Stroman's necessarily trusted coming out of the bullpen regardless. There was never a point they got him up to warm up.
Nope.
So I don't know if he's ever remotely trusted. And I think Nestor is a little more trusted in that scenario. He's done it before in his career.
Yeah.
I think if Nestor's feeling healthy, or even, I'm gonna be honest, healthy-ish. Yeah. If he's remotely healthy, they're gonna put Nestor on the World Series roster and probably leave Stroman off. Which I was mentioning this to a friend earlier. If you're Hal Steinbrenner, where you needed a fifth pitcher this offseason, and everyone said you needed one, and you gave Marcus Stroman 2 years at like $18 million a year, and now he's not pitching in the World Series. Feels like a pretty crazy investment.
Yeah. Stuff happens, right?
Yeah. No, agreed. You got to win. The best players need to make the team right now. There's no money is irrelevant.
Yep. Up until the last two games, or no, game 3 and game 4, Holmes was looking fine, and then he fell apart again. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's out of the circle of trust, though. I don't think there's anything that can happen that would knock Clay Holmes out of Aaron Boone's circle of trust, because he'd want to give him a chance.
I think even if he was out of the circle of trust, he'd still get appearances.
Right.
They don't have another big late arm. You know what I mean? Like there is no Andrew Miller. There is no Dylan Betances to come in a big spot where you can mix things up a little bit and use him instead. That Clay Holmes is that arm. He is. So maybe they mix it up and they put in a Cousins in the 8th inning instead of Holmes. Who knows? But I don't envision any of that happening. I think Holmes is the guy, and they're going to live and die with him. I just hope it's not dying with him, because I got to be honest with you, I don't trust Clay Holmes. I don't. And as good as he pitches in certain spots, it feels like he comes right back with and follows it up with a bad performance. So many times he loses the zone, and Stacey, when he loses the zone, he's walking the ballpark.
Right.
You can go up there and not swing, and he's going to walk you.
Yeah.
And with the 3 batter rule, that really scares me, because in a playoff, you know how the playoffs work, especially, if they wind up playing a team like the Dodgers, where, you all of a sudden, you walk Gavin Lux at the bottom of that lineup, and then it's followed by Ohtani and followed by Betts, followed by Freeman, followed by Muncy, all these. It's going to be really, really difficult to navigate a lineup when you're walking guys at the bottom of the order. And especially when you can't get out of that until 2 batters later, it's not easy. It's hard to navigate orders like that. And that's where Clay Holmes kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah. We also have Tim Hill doing some stuff that, like I said last night, he was DFA'd from the White Sox in June. And that team went on to lose 121 games. And now
DFA'd from a team that wound up losing 120 games.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cousins was with them
in the
too.
World Series.
Yeah.
What a year.
And Cousins let them go. They let Cousins go as well. And now both these guys are with the Yankees pitching major innings in an ALCS and on their way to a World Series.
It's part of why scouting is so important, right? Yeah. It's part of why analytics are really important, because we can laugh all we want for analytical decisions, and there's plenty of them that I can't stand, plenty of them that you can't stand, plenty of them that all of our fans can't stand. But Stacey, it's the truth. The analytics help them go out and decide to go pick up a Tim Hill, to go pick up a Jake Cousins, because they like the spin rate, or they see to something that they can fix in the guy. Those are the moves that tell you to go pick him up and claim him off waivers when the White Sox DFA a guy like that.
Right.
Having 2 guys that were in the White Sox bullpen now on the Yankees pitching major innings for them late in the playoffs, it's pretty remarkable.
The Pitching Ninja account did like a GIF/video of Tim Hill's follow-throughs with the way he whips his leg, and it said, "Tim Hill's follow-throughs are my guilty pleasures." So I quote tweeted him and I said, Tim Hill was DFA'd by the White Sox earlier this season, and then I punctuated it with the White Sox in all caps. And last night he threw important pitches for the New York Yankees and helped them get to the World Series. Baseball is fun because those are the guys, like in other Yankee winning years, when you have like DeMarco Marte, and you have like Phil Koch, and you have David Weathers all those years ago, and
the names
guys
you're
that
bringing
you
up
just
right now, DeMarco Marte and Phil Koch.
Like guys that you don't expect to really help. Who I mean, DeMarco Marte was one of the best playoff pitchers the Yankees had that year.
And Phil Koch, Phil Hughes, another great arm out of the Yankees. Like the Yankees had a lot of great arms coming out of their bullpen in the 09 year.
Yeah, and then like guys like David Weathers, who you were just like. Regular season, you thought, ugh. And then playoffs, he became a totally different pitcher.
You need that.
So it's just, that's the type of thing you see in the playoffs. And you have to love it, right? I mean, I do. It's what makes baseball the greatest thing in the world. It's not always the superstars that help you win. I mean, in this case, Stanton and Soto did, but without the bullpen bridging those innings from when the starter came out to the end.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have set up those moments for Stanton and Soto. So
any given Sunday, except baseball gets played 7 days a week.
Yeah. So we don't know who the Yankees are playing. We don't even know if, we don't know who's going to win. So if you're watching this on Monday or listening to this on Monday, don't think to yourselves, oh, I can't believe they recorded this. But yeah, we recorded it before the game started. So we don't know how game 6 went. Do you have a prediction for game 6 before we get into everything?
New York Mets.
I think so. I think the Mets are going to win.
Having a starting pitcher pitch in the game, I think is important.
Yep. I think
history shows that in baseball, if you have a starter going, it means something.
Yeah.
Dodgers don't.
I think the Mets are going to win. You know what? Let's push the pros and cons and who we'd rather face to segment 3. Okay, let's do that. But first,
hey, NFL fans, you can start this season off with a big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place all of your bets. Every NFL Sunday is a national holiday for me, and I'm placing all of my bets on FanDuel. Futures, you can get your futures in right now for the World Series. Who's going to win the World Series? You can bet on all 3 teams remaining in the playoffs to win the World Series. Hockey just started. Get your NBA futures in. It's all happening in the greatest month of the year, and it's all happening on FanDuel. You can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's all available on FanDuel.com. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Stacey, let's put a disclaimer in this segment, okay? Because we're going to talk about who the pros and cons of playing the Mets or the Dodgers. We're not asking for either team. This is not a 2018 we want Boston chant. I ask for either team. I'll tell you who I'd rather play, but it doesn't mean I think that they're an easy matchup. For me personally, I'd rather play the Dodgers. I like dealing with the team that doesn't have a lot of starting pitching. I want to thank the team in Queens for beating up their bullpen a little bit and running through their bullpen a little bit. And a team that's not as deep, not as much starting pitching, and lineup is not as deep past the 6 hole gives me a little more faith. The Mets have a little bit of weird magic going on, really good starting pitching and really good back end of their bullpen. That scares me. That's a team that I don't want to play. I don't want to play a team with magic behind it. And one more thing on playing the Mets, and I think this needs to be mentioned. As a Yankee fan, I'm sure all of you that are listening to the show that grew up Yankee fans have talked your fair share of crap to Mets fans. I'm sure all of you have done it. There is no positive in playing the Mets in the World Series for a Yankee fan. You either beat the Mets, and the excuse is, well, you're supposed to beat the Mets. You're the Yankees. You're playing the Mets. 27 rings, bro. Or you lose to the Mets, and Mets fans have been over you for the rest of your life. You shouldn't want to play the Mets in the World Series. If you love your Mets fan friends, then root for them to make the World Series next year or any year the Yankees are not in it. Right. You do not want to play the Mets if you're a Yankee fan. But besides who you want to play for what storyline, I think the better matchup for the Yankees going forward, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a lineup with Ohtani and Betts at the top of it. But I think the better matchup is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way, for all the reasons that you said. And as someone who's already been through a Subway Series, I really don't want to go through another one. I was a wreck before that first one. Was I excited to be at game one? Sure. Was I nervous? Yes, because, you know, it had been the first time that there was a Subway Series since the 50s. It was a whole big deal. And, you know, coming into it, even though the Yankees were looking for a three-peat, they only won 87 games. They were awful in September. They were able to flip a switch and do well in the playoffs. But everyone, like so many people were picking the Mets. Sports Illustrated picked them in 5, and just people thought the Yankees were going to roll over for the Mets. And then the opposite happened. The Yankees won in 5.
And you've had that for the last almost 25 years. You've had being able to say the Yankees won it in 5, took care of the Mets, won in Shea Stadium. If you watch that series, which, you know, obviously I was, you know, barely conscious for it because I was 2.5 years old. But if you watched that series, came pretty damn close to being a scene late as Piazza drove that ball into left center field. So it could have been a whole different story. Yankees won that series, even though everyone picked the Mets in 2000. You don't want that again if you're a Yankee fan. If you're a Mets fan, I totally get the Mets fans out there saying they want the Yankees and or they wanted the Yankees before the Guardians. Totally get it. You know why? Because if you beat the Yankees, you also have that added thing in of beating the Yankees. Totally understand that. It's kind of like the narrative Yankee fans are pushing out there. They wanted the Astros going through this run. If I were a Mets fan, I don't think I'd care who I played. I'd want to win a World Series no matter who I have to get through to win the World Series. It's like the Yankee fans Yankees shouldn't have to apologize for who they played on the way to this World Series. I think Los Angeles, and again, the top of their lineup is scary stupid how good it is. It's got Hall of Famers in the first, up until like the 5th batter, there's Hall of Famers. But the no starting pitching, the fact that Yamamoto is a starting pitcher for them, but he can't go deep into games. Flaherty has been good, bad, good, bad. You really don't know what you're going to get out of Flaherty. Whereas the Yankees, at this point, you know you're getting elite pitching for Rodon. Maybe it's not for 6-7 innings, but it's for 4 or 5. You're getting a respectable start. You know you're getting elite pitching out of Garrett Cole, right? You know you're getting a respectable start out of Clark Schmidt. And also, you know you're getting solid bullpen help. And the Mets, you don't know if you're getting solid middle relief, but you're getting really, really good starting pitching. And another thing that has to be mentioned too, and the Yankees handled them well in the Kansas City series, but the Mets also have really good lefty starting pitching. Something the Yankees, and we talked about this narrative all year, something the Yankees really, really struggled with throughout this season. I don't know if you necessarily want to see that either.
And the Dodgers barely have any lefties.
Yes, barely any lefties on their roster.
Yeah.
So it really helps you facing all righties who the Yankees have clobbered throughout the entire season. I also think, too, if you are a Yankee fan and you believe in the home field advantage aspect, which I think definitely worked in the Kansas City series, and I know for a fact worked in the Cleveland series because there was a drop pop fly at second base in the first inning of that series off a young player who was clearly very nervous. If you believe in the home field advantage aspect, which I think the Yankees are one of the only teams that actually has a solid home field advantage, then I don't know how you're not rooting for the Dodgers, because if they play the Mets, there is no home field advantage on either side. The Mets don't have home field advantage in Citi Field. The Yankees don't have home field advantage in Yankee Stadium. Whereas if you play the Dodgers, you have a very good home field advantage because the Dodgers don't pack that building ever. There's never people in that building. They're never there on time. Apparently, the parking lot is a mess getting in there. There's never people that are there at the start of the game. There's never people that are there on time to talk their smack. It's not a home field advantage. The Bronx is a home field advantage, and I don't know if necessarily opposing players, the Dodgers have been there, done that. They're weathered. They've seen that. But there are pitchers for the Dodgers that haven't seen that, right? Flaherty hasn't pitched in a lot of big-time playoff games. Yamamoto hasn't pitched in the Bronx before in a big spot in a playoff game. He's pitched in the Bronx earlier this year, but not in a playoff game.
And then nearly tore his shoulder because he was trying to pitch so hard.
Exactly. So there's a lot of storylines that actually could be really helpful to you if you're a Yankee fan, and just, being able to, support your team, being out there and trying to push them or will them to another World Series. You get a lot out of that if you're a Yankee fan playing the Dodgers, whereas if you play the Mets, you don't get really any of it.
Right. I really don't want to see the Mets.
Yeah, I'm good. If the Dodgers can take care of business, that'd be nice, but I don't think they're going to.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch that game because the Dodgers really had a chance to put them away, and they were awful. in Game 5.
There's something going on with that team. There is. The Mets have something weird, something in the juice they drink in the locker room. I don't know what it is, but there's something weird going on with that team. There just is.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like
I
it.
don't like it at all.
It gives me a weird feeling inside.
I don't know. It kind of felt not the same way, because 2015, you kind of expected the Mets to do okay, and they were doing okay. And then they had that spectacular falling apart moment in the World Series against the Royals. So,
yeah, I mean, that Royals team was a team of destiny, though.
Yeah.
They had lost the World Series the year prior. They were rolling. The Mets pitchers came into that series in 2015 with a lot of bravado, a lot of confidence. We wanted to go out to throwing first pitch fastballs, and unfortunately, Lorenzo Cain was more than ready for that.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on for that Royals team. A lot of really good starting pitching on that Royals team, an insane bullpen. That team was ready. And that Mets team kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, truth be told, led by Daniel Murphy.
Right. And then that play happened.
Yeah. Yep.
Can I admit I was yelling and screaming for that? Because that was awesome. Sorry, I couldn't help it. But yeah, I really don't want to see I don't want to see the Mets. I mean, not that, like you said, not that the Dodgers are an easy opponent by any means, but I feel like the matchup
it won't be easy either way.
Right. I feel like the matchup is better for the Yankees in that case. I don't know. But who knows? Because, you could go into any series thinking that you're going to lose to a team, and then your team comes out guns a-blazing, and
now it's a crapshoot.
Yeah,
not the whole postseason. Now it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, it's just we'll see. But anyway, I hope these two games go 18 innings each.
Oh yeah, I'm rooting for a 30-inning fall classic for the Mets and Dodgers tonight.
Yeah,
bullpens.
Even though Game 7 is on Monday, so they have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off before Game 1 of the World Series, so they have some time to rest. It's not like the World Series starts on Wednesday.
Tax them as much as you can.
Yeah, I still would like to see really, really long games out of these two games if the two games happen, but we'll see. So to recap, the Yankees are going to the World Series. Hallelujah. Yep. And they got some surprising contributions and not so surprising contributions. And they did this all with Aaron Judge kind of sort of hitting, but not enough for our liking.
160 in the playoffs.
Yeah, 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in, but everything else was just not great. And
not great.
For Stanton to kind of step into his role, so the Stanton-Soto tandem was hitting all the home runs. Apparently, the Yankees haven't lost when those two homer together. That's a interesting stat. So, yeah, it was just an interesting series, all different heroes every night, and hopefully it's more of the same in the World Series for the Yankees. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. The link to Locked On MLB is in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And make sure you check out the Locked On Yankees postcast right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed, as well as streaming on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow.